Man, what is happening, my YouTube family? It is your boy B New coming at you bright and early on this Tuesday morning. First and foremost, just want to send out positive vibrations to all that is listening under the sound of my voice. Positive vibrations to you all. Now, with that being said, let's just hop right into it. As we all know, the Lakers played the Utah Jazz again on yesterday. Now, as we discussed before, the Los Angeles Lakers defeated the Utah Jazz on Saturday. Now, of course, a lot of people was wondering what was going on yesterday, why the Lakers getting their ass beat by a team that they just beat on Saturday. So for all the casuals out there who wasn't aware, Mike Conley or Rudy Gobert did not play in the game on Saturday, which made a huge difference. Now, if you did not watch the game and you just look at the stat sheet, then you probably would think, oh man, Rudy Gobert just came in and just dominated Andre Drummond, things like that. But to be honest, in my humble opinion, that simply was not the case. Andre Drummond missed a lot of bunnies last night. He had a lot of opportunities. He even missed the alley-oop to where it wasn't even a bad oop. He pretty much caught the oop in a good spot. He just was unable to finish. So I don't know if the toe was bothering him last night, but he had a lot of opportunity with some very close looks at the basket. Simple little floater shots that he just simply could not put down. The iron was very unkind to them, as they used to say back in the day. It was the iron unkind last night because the rim was just not Andre Drummond's friend last night. With that being said, of course, I do want to point out the flaws in Frank Vogel yet again, because when you saw that Andre Drummond was not being efficient, and even when you came in with Montrezl Harrell, he was getting his shot blocked and pretty much denied at the rim and just wasn't giving you too much of anything. At this point, I would think that you would have went to Marc Gasol at some point, and you even said in one of your press conferences earlier in the year, not to my dismay, but to the dismay of others, that you were going to play Marc Gasol even with Montrezl Harrell in some of the lineups, because that is something that you have not tried all year, and it was an interesting lineup that you were looking forward to using. However, that was never and has not been the case, because since you said that almost 2.5 weeks ago, you still have not done it. And that's something that's very perplexing to me, especially when you have the size that you have. And the thing about it is, Rudy Gobert is not a stretch five. I mean, he's not a center who goes out and really plays at the three-point line. So what you basically could have did was play chess a little bit, instead of just thinking that, oh, well, since Rudy Gobert isn't a stretch five, I can leave Drummond in there, who is not a stretch five as well. How about you could have put in Marc Gasol, and then that could have brought Rudy Gobert out of the paint, which would have left some driving lanes for the Lakers to drive to the lane and have some opportunity at some easy baskets, or even to kick out for the three, even for Mark and KCP and others, because KCP did start off the game pretty hot to where he could have, where he was making a nice amount of his threes. Kuzma was having a very solid game, but when they came out in the third quarter, they really just started to put it on the Lakers. It's like they just pretty much out-hustled them and outplayed them pretty much for the most part. And that was something that was very perplexing to me, that the Lakers didn't come out with the energy. But at the same time, I was just pretty much wondering, why is it that Frank Vogel says one thing and then does another? And now he said he wasn't going to bury Mark deep within the lineup. And then, as you all know, even when Drummond was out with those games, Mark was having pretty solid performances as far as getting his three-point percentage shot up over 45%, making his threes, and that's going to make the Lakers capable of spreading the floor. And when you're playing against a team like Utah, then that's something that you actually would want to do, would be to actually spread the floor, just so you can see, well, what you are capable of doing against that lineup. Now, imagine if Donovan Mitchell was playing, which he was not, then the onslaught probably would have been a whole lot worse. But as we all know, the Lakers are without LeBron James and Anthony Davis, so I don't think it's anything to fear and to say, oh, well, Utah is the team that we really have to worry about. Now, I'm not going to disrespect Utah, and if both teams were fully healthy, then I would have to go ahead and pick the Lakers probably in 6. I would still give Utah 2 games, especially at home, considering that they play in Utah with some very high elevation. And without a high elevation, it's pretty hard on visiting teams, opposing teams, to come into that arena and play with such a thin air. environment. And a lot of people know that Utah and Denver and I'm trying to think what other team has that advantage. Even the Denver Broncos in football. I mean, you don't really want to go to Mile High because that's something where it's just a lot harder for you to get your oxygen in order to play well. So that's definitely a home court advantage that Utah will have, considering that they had the #1 seed and that they will more than likely have the #1 seed throughout the entirety of the playoffs unless they get knocked out in an earlier round. So with all that being said, you know, the Lakers still are holding strong to that 5th seed. It doesn't look like they're going to move away from that 5th seed anytime soon because, as we all know, the Portland Trail Blazers have not really been playing great basketball as of yet. I know Damian Lillard has been out. I think he is still out again tonight. I have to check today on the web to see if he is going to be available tonight, because if I am not mistaken, the Portland Trail Blazers do take on the Los Angeles Clippers. So it seems like the Clippers are going to be holding steady to that 3 spot. And I don't think the Lakers really want to slide down to that 6 spot. Not saying that they're afraid of any teams, but the Clippers and the Lakers is something you want to save for the second round or either the Western Conference Finals. But it would be a great first round matchup. But having Anthony Davis and LeBron back, you know, not building that chemistry with Drummond yet, it could spell just a little bit of trouble for LA, and that series may end up going a little bit longer than what they wanted to go. And with that being the case, you just never know how it could go, because the Clippers have been playing outstanding basketball as of late. And another team that's been playing outstanding basketball, and probably who has the leading MVP candidate, is no other than the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic. And as you can see last night, Nikola Jokic put up 47 points in a double overtime win against the Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant had a hell of a game last night. And this is the thing, what I'm trying to tell people about the Memphis Grizzlies is they are a team that's going to be reckoned with in the playoffs. And if you play them in the play-in game, you better look out, because they are a scrappy young team. And the way they pushed Denver to the double overtime last night, now granted, Denver does not have Jamal Murray, but at the same time, Memphis was without Dillon Brooks last night, and they had to put the rookie Aaron Payne into the lineup, who has been playing good. I think he played for TCU in college, and he's actually come in and given the Grizzlies some good minutes this year off the bench. He is more than capable of hitting the 3 and more than capable of creating his own shot. But Dillon Brooks is somebody that, to me, I don't know how everybody else feels, but I'm just telling you, to me, Dillon Brooks is a defensive specialist. And I know he's had his words with LeBron and other people in the league, because he's one of those feisty kind of players, like a what's that punk name for the Clippers? Patrick Beverly. He kind of like him, to where he'll get up under your skin. But Dillon Brooks does give you something offensively. But if you will notice this, I will say this, while Tillman had to play last night because Valanciunas was out. Valanciunas was out due to a concussion. And I'm going to tell everybody right now, Valanciunas is playing excellent basketball. And when you look at the Memphis Grizzlies roster, usually at least five players are going to be in double digits, which means they have a well-rounded team when you have 5 to 6 players in double digits night in and night out. And that's what the Memphis Grizzlies tend to give you. And they give you a lot on the defensive end of the floor, because that's the grit and grind of the Memphis Grizzlies. And Valanciunas was out last night. And I will dare say this, if Valanciunas wouldn't have been out last night, I doubt if Jokic really goes off for 47. But I will say Tillman came in for Valanciunas with him being out and did pretty good. And if those of you who watched the game, which is maybe not many who's watching this video who watched that game, I will tell you all this, that Tillman played Jokic straight up for most of the game. It wasn't a whole lot of doubling, and Jokic did get his, but you got to realize that was a double overtime game for him to be able to accumulate that many points. But at the end of the day, had Valanciunas been in, I think it would have been a different story. So the Memphis Grizzlies, they still holding on to the 8th spot, right behind Dallas. I thought that they would be moving up soon, but they're going to beat up on each other on those 6th, 7th, 8th spot. Now, with that being said, we all know that the Lakers' next 2 games, are against the Dallas Mavericks. And to me, I think those 2 games that they are capable of winning. I know Luka Doncic is a hell of a player, but at the end of the day, I just feel like the Lakers, if they play the way they're capable of playing on defense, then they could clamp the style of Luka and stop him from getting everybody else involved. And if you can keep his assists count down, it's fine. If Luka can beat you, let him beat you. Just don't allow him to get all the other players involved, because when he starts to get other players involved, that's when they're going to start to feel and grow their confidence. So in worst case scenario, let's say the Lakers do lose to the Dallas Mavericks twice in a row, they actually still would not leapfrog them. They would still be one game behind the Lakers in the loss column, and the Lakers would still be 2 games ahead of them in the win column. So at the end of the day, it's not just, oh my God, it's over, if that was the case. But as we all know, Anthony Davis is slated to come back for the Lakers in this Dallas, this 1-on-1 with the Dallas team. So look for Anthony Davis to come back. They said he's only going to get probably 15 minutes a game to start him off. But as you can see, as anybody seen on tape and watched him in shoot-arounds and a little bit of practice, he is actually looking pretty good, and he has full-on contact, and he has been cleared to play. And speaking of full-on contact of people who's been cleared to play, I don't know if anybody saw this or not, but LaMelo Ball of the Charlotte Hornets, who had broke his wrist, but young bones really healed well, because I'm going to tell you what, not anybody can come back that quick from a broken wrist, but he did have a broken wrist. And with that being said, he has been cleared for full contact, so I look to see him get back soon. And they are in a full-on fight with New York and some of the other teams that's battling for the play-in spots in the bottom of the Eastern Conference. So as we all know, New York actually won 6 in a row, and I believe they moved into that 6th spot that was safe from the play-in tournament. I'm not sure. I might have to go back and check that, but just going by memory, I think that is the case. So it's a lot of interesting things going on in the league right now. A lot of people don't like the idea of a play-in game, thinking, oh, you played all these games and now just one game can eliminate you. Well, if you're 9th or 10th seed, it gives you something to play for, and it makes people stop trying to bottom out and tank, because tanking is the worst, to me, in my opinion, thing that you can do in sports. And with it eliminating the tanking, it makes these other teams play harder, and then you might just get on a roll, and actually adds more excitement for some of the fans of the lesser teams to think, hey, who knows, my team can get in this and get hot. You just never know. So at the end of the day, if you're a 7th or 8th seed and you're afraid of a 9th or 10th seed, it's usually a pretty good gap between a 7th and a 10th seed. But sometimes that's not the case, especially in the Western Conference, when it's a little bit loaded and you got teams like San Antonio, Memphis, and Golden State all lingering around down in that. And speaking of Golden State, we saw Steph Curry come with a hell of a performance again on yesterday. Steph Curry, I mean, he's really proven himself. I wouldn't necessarily say he's in the MVP conversation just because of what his team record is. If he could have had his team maybe more well-positioned in the playoffs, then maybe he could have got the nod for the MVP, considering what he's doing out there in the Western Conference, especially with his supporting cast and the other team and the quality opponents that he is going against. But with that being said, Portland is the team that we focusing on today that we need to lose, which I think the Clippers will come out and take care of them. It would have been nice for Denver to lose, because then they would only been 1 spot ahead of the Lakers for the spot that they're trying to move up into in order to get that 4th seed. But at the end of the day, I think that that's something that the Lakers can do and will do. And it doesn't matter where they are, because they will eventually win the championship once they are fully healthy. So that's not anything that I'm just majorly concerned about. Now, with all that being said, we are looking to the Brooklyn Nets tomorrow night. I think are going to be taking on the New Orleans Pelicans, and that's going to be a pretty good matchup. So for all of those, all of you fans who like watching basketball, that's going to be a great matchup to watch. To see Zion, and of course we got to watch and keep our eye on KD to see if he's going to be coming back. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of injuries in the NBA. I'm just hoping everybody can get healthy these last couple of weeks of the season, and we can go ahead and get these playoffs started, because they are long overdue. So anyway, that was just me chiming in for the Lakers on yesterday. Hopefully they can do a little bit better coming up in this Dallas series for the next couple games. And then by that time, you let another week or so go by, then you're going to be looking at the return of LeBron James. And then we all know what's going to happen when that's going to occur. So I don't think LeBron is going to be able to win that MVP award, considering how he's missed all this time, which to me is a shame. I'd love to see him tie Michael Jordan for that 5th MVP. But at the end of the day, that doesn't make or break LeBron's legacy in my eyes and the eyes of many. So once again, this is your boy B New. I just want to, like I said, wish everybody a great day. Keep up the love and the support. It's much appreciated. And right on to the real, and much love to the haters. I'm out.